My name is Aaron Brien. I'm the Tribal Historic Preservation Officer for the Crow Tribe. I guess we're known as Crow Indians, but our name is Apsaloga. Apsaloga means the children of a long-beaked bird. What we call ourselves, though, among each other is Biluga. Biluga, which means our side. But when we were created by Ijikbalia, he called us Agiwirbaga, the people on top of the ground. So those are our names. Well, first, I think shields are they're made of 3 different parts, and I think most people assume that they look a certain way or they're made a certain way, but they're made of 3 different parts, and one part is the handle, which is kind of a long bandolier type thing, like a satchel bag, right? And then it's made of a cover, a buckskin cover, and then the shield itself is made of rawhide, and there's no ring. You know, you always see them gas station shields, and they kind of have a wooden ring, and they stretch rawhide over it. It doesn't exist. It's not that way. So these shields, and from what I see, the Kiowas, the Blackfeet, the Salish, they all constructed them the same way. What they do is they take the chest cavity, or the hide of the chest off of a buffalo, and they stretch it over a hole, and they make a small fire in the hole, and as the hide moisture is pulled from the hide shrinks, causing the hide to get thicker. So in some shields I've seen, they're anywhere from a quarter of an inch thick to just almost an inch thick. I mean, they're thick. It just kind of, I think, depends on the hide and how dedicated someone might be to getting the moisture out of it. But once that's done, an individual might go to one of his clan fathers or a respected war leader or someone like that for guidance on what to put on the shield. So there's plain shields, and there's shields that have a lot of design and colors and feathers and things on it. Those things aren't placed on there arbitrarily. These are things that are considered holy objects and that were used to guide people in battle or to protect them in everyday life. But like we were talking yesterday, there's kind of a social aspect to them too, because like they're used in parades as kind of like part of a horse's parade gear, or there's even been instances where when people go and fast in the mountains, they'll take a shield with them and pray with the shield while they're fasting. So it's one of the few objects, at least in Crow culture, that kind of is on both sides of this spiritual and social parts of life. So in that way, it's pretty unique. So prior to the horse, those depictions on the rocks were what the History Channel calls ancient aliens, but they were actually the men holding their shields. So the Crow word for shield is ishpinaja. Ishpinaja, aja is like your chest, you know, and it can be. There's different ways of translating that word, but bina is like your war deeds, or you're collecting war deeds, you know. See, the way Crow people believe, and I guess I shouldn't speak for all Crow people, but the way I understand Crow belief is we believe in one supreme being, right? And we call it Ijikbalia. Ijikbalia means the one who worked first, our first worker. But when he as part of our creation, he says, I place my power in all things. And there's some specific things too, that like the rocks or tobacco plant, or but he says that in order to seek me, you can access through these objects. And one of the ways to do that is to fast, and to go fasting without food or water for 4 days, and you might be given something. And we believe this to be God telling us, Egypt body is telling us how to communicate through him. So with that, it's our own individualized, I guess, gospel, you can say, right? It's the way we live our life. These shields were specifically products of protection. They would say, I want to achieve these things in battle. I need to be protected to do that. So you might go and fast and fast in hopes to receive a dream on something you might place on your shield. Now that doesn't mean just because you've seen something, you're going to go and put it on your shield. It has to be verified. So then you go to your clan fathers, or maybe even like your advisor in battle. So Two-Legans was known to seize the living bull as that's his advisor. That's the man he's going to go to. Some men went to Balrock or to hunts the enemy, or that was their guy. So, and he would say, this is what you do. And that's Indian people, we believe in the witness. It has to be verified, these things. Otherwise, we just kind of go do what we want to do whenever we want to do it. So they say it's verified and authorized through your clan fathers and mothers who make wishes for you. So in that sense, these objects become holy through that process. And then now they're called bawahba, holy things, And these are not things that symbolize the power of God, that they are the power of God. So we call that bawa chaja, something great, Mm-hmm. And so they'll say, anytime you use it or handle it with care. So chigitchish is like to respect something. So they'll say, revere it, And so these objects are that. But again, like I said, there's a whole nother side to them too that's still like social, where people take them and put them on horses and that kind of thing. But they are considered a holy object, and they're to be respected as one. So when you see a pictograph, I think, especially pictograph or images on shields, there's like there's a reaction that people are like, oh, what is that? Is that an alien, or is that a demon or something? And for one, crows, we don't talk about demons. We don't talk about hell. We don't talk about evil things, because we believe all things are made by a supreme being that is good. Yeah, the twins, we believe the twins to be kind of I don't want to say saviors, but they're kind of superheroes. They protect us from one of their biggest exploits was they destroyed the evil being Red Woman, Hishishtuya, and but we kind of credit them with a form of the Sweat Lodge. So what we learned from the twins was that the sweat is used to remind us who we are, that only humans burn. Our skin burns. And when you forget and lose track of who you are, to build a sweat, to go into a sweat and pour water on the rocks until you burn a little bit. And that reminds you that you're a human. Agi wilakbagya, that you're a person on top of the ground. And we learned that from the twins, because the twin was thrown into the spring and he thought he was a fish or a water creature. But his brother took him out. They built the sweat, and his dad burned him in the sweat, which that only happens to humans. So, but then those boys went on to defeat their enemy and protect us from different things. And then they became the stars. They became Venus and Jupiter. Mm-hmm. And the on the shield is a picture. I believe it's an image of Jupiter, or yeah, Jupiter, which is Spring Boy. In fact, all the shields I've seen, a large majority of them have something to do with the stars and um, constellations. So there's a site near Harlowton that has these kind of three robot looking things. They look like R2D2 from Star Wars. And they just blow my mind every time I see them. And I'm like, what are these things there? I can't even begin to explain them because they don't look native, but they're old and they've been there. They're originally recorded in the 60s and they knew them to be old then. And I can't even explain them. They look like robots. There's another cool site in the Pryor Mountains called Alohuba. Alohuba means where there's a hole, and it's on Sage Creek in the Pryor Mountains, and there's a black buffalo painted at the back of a cave. And on the winter solstice, when the sun's going down, just the way the canyon is constructed, or where it's laid out, the sun for not very long hits that buffalo. And as the sun's going down, it illuminates that buffalo for a short, brief time, only on the winter solstice. They tell us that our attitudes and the way we conduct ourselves in ceremony is how we should conduct ourselves in the store or with our wives or in our home. So people always separate ceremonial life from social life. And I believe that's wrong. I think that ceremony is a microcosm of how we should live our life, you know. We believe that all things affect everything all the time. You know, these things, what we do has an effect to the person next to us. So whether we're in a ceremony asking for good things or whether we're in the store in line buying something, my attitude is going to affect the person next to me. So we should learn not to, when we go to these places like these, where these rock art they call that Apalachia Walatua, where there's where the spirits wrote on the rocks, or wrote where there's writing from spirits, you know. That attitude I hold there is the same way I should conduct myself in my home.